Hey guys, this is Naman. I'm the founder of reference.com. We are building a marketplace for freelancers and agencies in India and abroad. Today we are going to talk about temporary markets. What happened during Corona? Why did all these startups get funded? Why did the stock market go high and suddenly everything is crashing and people are losing job? We'll see what your startup can learn from it and also understand if how to judge whether a market is temporary or permanent. Startups are highly dependent on market. What is the market situation? If I am selling samosas and there is nobody in the market to buy samosas, irrespective of how good that samosa is, nobody is going to buy it. Now, sometimes what happens is there are some temporary markets created that unfortunately create a permanent hope. If you look at what happened during the Corona time, the 2020-2021 period, a lot of things got upset, right? So things that were happening offline and happening very comfortably, a temporary market for them was created online. Now, when I say temporary, it is because after the whole Corona, the pandemic thing got over, people went back to doing the way they were doing it earlier. Hence, we call it temporary. But what happened during that period is a lot of startups got funded, right? If you look at edtech, if you look at tools that enable remote working, all those kind of tools and startups were getting funded and getting funded heavily. Reason being because the trend was suggesting that these tools are catering to the right need of the audience. Now, can that need also be temporary? As in, when I'm judging a online tool during non-Corona times, I'm judging it on a different parameter. But during Corona time, I'm judging the same tool on a very different parameter. And this is what actually happened during the whole Corona time, and a lot of startups got funded. Now, when we are back to normal, we see that we've created supply that does not have enough demand for. So maybe I'm building 5 features in my edtech platform. Now suddenly I realize A, I do not have enough cash flow to fund that 5 features, and B, because my feature 1 and 2 is not getting adopted enough, so creating this feature 3, 4 and 5 is not worth it. Hence, if there is a team working on feature 3, 4 and 5, I will have to lay them off, right? Now, what is it that happened that, we think that, okay, there was a market for this, but now there is no market? It is because the situations have changed, the alternates have changed. So if I was able to go to school, and if this experience is like a 9 on 10 kind of experience for me, and if you suddenly ask me to do only online, if the school is open, I'll think online is bad for me because there are certain things that are not getting fulfilled. But if the school is not open, at that moment, online is my only alternate. Okay. Now let's look at this example, right? Is attending online easier than going to school? Yes, right? Because you don't have to physically move. You can attend it from anywhere. So that is an advantage. If you look at the cost, maybe the cost is also lesser. If you don't look at the price that we pay, but actually the cost, right? Delivering a lecture in a classroom to 40 students versus delivering a lecture online to maybe 4,000 students, the cost is also lower. What we are not judging at this moment is the learning better? The ultimate outcome of education is learning. Is the learning better? Now, my point here is that we cannot compare it to offline schools because offline schools are shut. So offline schools get 0 on 10 and online maybe gets 4 or 5 on 10. Right? So it is still better than the other alternates available in the market. Hence, online education looks great. Now, also because we cannot imagine what the situation will be after pandemic, we do not really know if this 4 on 10 is here to stay, or maybe 4 on 10 will start becoming 6 on 10, 7 on 10, 8 on 10. We really don't know. So as an investor, maybe I'll just stop predicting what will happen and follow the trend. I'll say, okay, more users are coming to this platform, so maybe I should fund this platform. Right? And generally, we are very optimistic with respect to what will happen in future. And the general idea is that everything will move online. So maybe this is the trigger to move things online. I'll take another example. So imagine if there is a product called copper, right? And copper is, say 9 on 10 in doing something, right? Let's say, we want to make certain equipments and we use copper for that, and it's 9 on 10 for that purpose. Now, if the price of copper goes high, right? And it goes high like, 5x or 6x, right? Will I start looking for an alternate of copper? Now, let's say this alternate is called dopper, right? And dopper is less efficient. So it's probably say 2 on 10 or 3 on 10. But if the price of copper is 5x or 6x suddenly, I will start considering dopper. Because even if I use 3 times or 4 times of dopper, it maybe solves my problem. But if I am this trader who trades dopper, I may get this false hope saying that, okay, this is a new market, I should start investing, maybe I should start, backward integration and start producing dopper on my own for getting more margin, or I should take, raise some debt in the market, go buy some more dopper because the market is here to stay. But suddenly the copper prices start falling because the problems in the world have ended. At this moment, the market of dopper vanishes. So how do you really judge whether the market is here to stay or not? You basically judge the experience of the user. Right? In case of dopper versus copper, we clearly know that dopper was not efficient at doing certain things. The advantage was the price arbitrage. Right? Same thing happened with offline school versus online school. We said offline school doesn't even exist. So the competition is gone. Now online school is the only alternative. Same thing happened probably. A lot of us took into culinary experiences during the whole Corona period. Because you cannot go to a restaurant, why not watch a recipe video and try making it ourselves? We have a lot of free time and maybe we'll come up with something nice. Right? But was it there to stay? No. Right? We are back to going to restaurants. There are certain things that have stayed. Something like watching movies on OTT. Right? This market has stayed because there are certain movies that are not worth going to the cinema. Or if you look at the experience in cinema wasn't even great. So this was only a trigger to maybe kill that whole experience. But even now, if there's a great Marvel movie coming out, or there's a great Nolan movie coming out, we will go to the cinemas and not just stick to OTTs. But OTTs got an opportunity to get like a foot in the door, and now from there they'll find a niche to stay. Now, can temporary markets create permanent markets? No. But can temporary market help existing market? Yes. So we saw in case of Paytm when the demonetization happened. Had Paytm been launched then, it may not have found a foothold there. But because Paytm already existed, now there is an event that is accelerating the adoption of Paytm. Similar thing happened with Zoom. Similar thing happened with Slack. You cannot be launching at that moment. If you are there, maybe you can take advantage of it and take advantage of it knowing that this is temporary. So maybe it will solve some cash flow problems for you for some time, or they will, maybe divert some permanent traffic, but it won't be as much. Okay, so if the market was say 1, it went to 5, it may not come down to 1, but it will definitely come down to 2 or 3, right? So that is what you have to understand about temporary markets. Now, even if you look at how funding happened, and we'll talk about this in another video on timing, why it is critical in funding. So if I am raising funds for my edutech startup, the timing was great in 2020, 2021 because I didn't need to explain why this was needed, right? So if I am doing a mobile wallet service in 2016 when demonetization happened, the timing was great because A, I have a product ready, B, there is a market that is newly created. I can show some numbers that are accelerating. Hence, to raise funds, this will work out. How do you really judge if a market is temporary or permanent? I'll give you another example. Back, about 10 years ago, when YouTube was kind of new and we were figuring out how to watch these great videos on a low bandwidth internet connection, there were a lot of apps and Chrome plugins that came out that would, help you watch videos even on low internet connection. And so these were, enabling something. But are these product aspirational? As in, so we'll talk about 7 cents in other videos. These things maybe help you save cost, or if you do not really have the ability to watch a video, they'll help you get the video. So going from 0 to 1. But if you had to watch a video with a very nice experience and maybe pay a little extra to your internet service provider versus, you use this plugin that helps you compress the video, etc., and save some cost. That is where you have to weigh in your options, saying, do I save cost or do I increase my experience? Do I increase the pride that I get in watching the video? And if you're an online, education provider, you should judge whether, is this really helping make the learning better? So there are some pieces of edtech, in the whole spectrum, where, the whole internet experience or the whole electronic experience actually makes it better. Maybe notes taking, maybe note sharing, maybe discussing with the teacher after the class. Maybe the one-to-many kind of experience is possible, which will save the cost for the whole education industry and propagate the whole learning to a larger audience. But if I was given an option to maybe go to a classroom and have like a very indulgent peer learning versus being online and only seeing my teacher's face, that experience may not come. So look at both timing and whether you are appealing to those 7 sins, and maybe you'll find your answer whether you are in a temporary market or whether this is a permanent market, and this current structure is only an acceleration factor. There are more links in the description below on the two videos that I talked about, and let me know your thoughts on this in the comments.